The story begins on the streets of America, where posters of a missing girl were displayed on every tree along the way. A man named Edgar was passing by eating chewing gum in his truck, who did not even pay attention to these posters. There was a minor injury to his hand. After some time he reached a secluded place outside the city and pulled out a gun, rope and some phones from a trunk. After some time a girl named Nell wakes up in a locked room and she has no idea how she got here. The whole room was completely empty. There was a worm in the room, a clock, a speaker, and 9 was written on a large panel. The same number was also on her shirt. With trembling feet, Nell reached the door, but as much as he wanted to pull or push it, the door was stuck there. She even shouted for help, but to no avail. At that very moment the watch started automatically and only then Nell's attention went to a red rope. Suddenly she found her phone under the rope, but she was not able to call anyone because she did not have a SIM. Then she thought of getting out with the help of a rope. After a while her eyes fell on a spot on the ground which looked like blood. She looked up to see that there was a glass on the ceiling. Tried but couldn't reach. Nell started pacing hither and thither in panic. What she was doing in this room, it was completely out of her understanding. Suddenly an alarm sounded and the light of the whole room turned green. Sat on the ground and felt that something bad was going to happen, but the light went off in a few moments. Then Nell took out her phone again and saw that all the numbers have been deleted. The phone just had some pictures of the ocean, which made him remember a song in which there was a picture of a girl named Dawn, which made Nell very happy to see that. Why did Dawn leave her? After this, Nell threw her shoe on the glass so that no one would notice him, but this also failed. In desperation, she threw her phone on the wall in anger, but the phone got stuck in the number 9 panel and a beautiful little the song started playing. Nell saw that there was a hole. She quickly made the hole bigger so that she could run away from there, but only the wall was found behind him. There the clock passed 15 minutes and some sounds started coming from the room. All the lights were turned off and now there was the sound of some doors and windows opening and closing from outside. In fear, Nell closed her eyes and she calmed herself by humming the song of the sea. In a few moments the lights were on went, but when Nell opened her eyes she saw that the door locks were no longer there and now she can open the door, but this time the wall was also found behind the door. At the same time, the clock ticked back 45 minutes. Nell began to scream in anger, and again the room was filled with green light, and suddenly she heard a man's voice coming from a lattice in the wall behind the door. Nell ran up to him and started talking to him about a man named Travis who was imprisoned in the same room as him, only his number was 6 instead of 9. He also did not know who had imprisoned them and why. Both of them were unaware that Edgar was actually watching them through the CCTV camera. Travis told Nell that he had tried to reach the glass window with a rope, but the handle of the window broke. Even after this, Nell tied a knot of rope and trapped it in the handle and started pulling it, but the handle broke due to its weight. She fell straight down and in this affair her shoulder got dislocated. Nell's mind was shaken badly. She came to her senses after hearing Travis's voice. For a while, loud noises lingered in his ears and she could see strange things. She had a severe headache, but Travis said she would have to fix her shoulder as soon as possible, otherwise. After a while the pain was unbearable. Then Nell stood up and hit her shoulder hard back and forth on the wall so that it would be set in its right place. After that she entertained his mind after talking a little to Travis and played the same song in the phone which Travis also got quite a lot liked. Suddenly loud noises began to escape in her ears again and she saw something again. She saw that a man was trying to hold her hand and then Nell hit his hand with the same pen. On the other hand, Travis started asking what has he done that is imprisoned here? He also suspected that God had not sent him here. In the meantime Travis was shouting. He was telling a man to stay away from him. Then the light of Nell's room also turned green and due to Travis's condition Nell started having a stroke again. She calmed himself once again by singing that ocean song. When the light came back, Nell spoke to Travis. He told that a man had come to his room to fix him and now he is also having severe pain in her head. Green light kept coming in the room again and again and now Nell decided that she will definitely find a way out of here. When she searched the room, she found a wire, which did not help him much. Then she saw that something was applied to his arm and from there Travis told that there is something similar on his leg, where the time of the clock is less, was leaving, so Nell used a broken handle of a window to open the screws of the lattice. Her plan worked and the lattice opened. Seeing that Travis also started opening his mesh and Nell picked up the wire found behind the panel. By pulling the wire she got hold of a hidden camera which she showed to Travis, after which Nell cut the wire itself, due to which Edgar could no longer see anything in Nell's room. Nell tries to reach Travis through the lattice, but there is very little space. There is a green line in the middle, which when touched, the light of the room turns yellow and a loud alarm goes off, which makes Nell's ears ache. She quickly made her way back to her room. but on the way back she hit her shoulder again. In the process, she began to see something again. This time she saw that her hands were covered in blood. She told Travis to keep breaking her mesh and herself started to fix her shoulder. Then she looked at her arm, where it was bleeding. She tore a little flesh and saw that a microchip had been fitted in her arm. Looked at the one who had not yet opened his net. Now there was only 1 minute left in the clock and suddenly it turned red. Nell asked Travis to open the mesh quickly. He opened the mesh on the spot with all his might. As time ran out, the lights and doors closed again. Light came in a moment and now Nell was filled with anger. She started singing strange things in the middle while humming the song. Suddenly a small space opened in the door and a bright red light started coming from outside. She pulled out and a gun came in his hand. Only then the light turned green and strange gas filled the whole room. Her voice changed the light and Nell understood that by changing the light from the voice, she would have to reach the red light. Shot a shot in the glass, which made the lights red. While Edgar was still watching her with a new camera, Nell picked up the rope and stuck it up so that she can now get out. But to no avail even after reaching up not a ceiling but a room with a screen showing the moon and stars. Now there was written and she peeped into Travis's room from above. His room was also gas-filled, but he was not as brave as Nell. And now Edgar was coming to meet Nell, ran and hid behind the wall and hiding from Edgar's eyes. She ran away hiding. She reached his office. It seemed to be a company building. The strange thing was that it was daytime, but there was no one inside the building. Nell reached a room where Travis the ads were running repeatedly. These are actually Robert's ads, which look so real that no human can differentiate between them. Nell got angry and broke the TV with a gun. Then at one place she saw a big picture of Don, who was actually the owner of this robotics company. Then a guide came to Nell who was explaining everything to his clients. All of them ignored Nell and went ahead before Nell could understand what was happening. Edgar found him. Nell had a glimpse that it was Edgar who had removed the cover from his face. Nell had hit the same man with a pan. Out of fear, Nell pointed the gun at Edgar, but Edgar turns it off by pressing a button on his tablet itself. Now we come to know that Nell is actually a robot of this company and its model number is 9. Later, when Nell's eyes opened, she was sitting on the same beach. Soon Edgar also came there. Nell had attacked her, so he is tied to a chair. This sea is made according to Nell's mind, and now Edgar began to ask him questions about the captivity. They were kept in captivity so that their human emotions could be tested. Nell and Travis had to get out with each other. They cared for each other a lot. Edgar asked if there had ever been a time when Nell didn't want to be with her. Have you doubted humanity itself? On hearing this, Nell realized that she doesn't even know who she is. In fact, Nell's training has been going on for weeks and the company wants to remove all her flaws and make her a Model 10. At the end of the test, her memory is erased because she will not be able to tolerate this terrible truth. Edgar turns Nell off and puts her back in the same place locked in the room. Nell wakes up once again without her memory and Edgar goes on vacation with his family.